This is currently my setup, my iMac, which I installed Windows and Macs on it. And this is my Corsair One PC. So I use both of them. As you can see, I have 2 keyboards and 2 mice. My problem is that I'd like to have 1 keyboard, 1 mouse, and I'd like to, this is a 5-bay NAS. I'd like to be able to use that between the 2 computers. Right now it's just connected to the Corsair One. So this is what I purchased to try to see if I can get that done. This is a USB 3.0, 2 computers in and 4 devices out. And basically the way when you connect 2 computers, you can connect 2 computers and share 4 devices by just pressing a switch. So I want to share my, not a printer, but my keyboard, mouse, and my hard drive. And I guess I'll do an extension cord for the other one so I could use it in whatever I'm doing. So this is it. I think it was very low price, $16, I believe. Please check below. USB-A to USB-A. USB-A to USB-A. User guide. I probably will not read. And the actual device itself. So this is the bottom of it. Side. It's plastic. The other side. And this is for power. I don't know if I need additional, see DC 5 volt. I don't know if I need additional power. I'm not sure, I don't think so. Because all the devices have their own power. But I might just connect, it looks like it takes a micro USB. So I probably will put a micro USB and connect it to a USB power source. This is the button you press. I'm going to be putting it upside down like this. I'm going to put Velcro here and stick it underneath the monitor stand that I have. And when I need to switch, I just click on this. That should be cool. Just measuring the device, just in case you're interested in actual measurements. Pretty light, plastic, no weight at all. Let me make sure both of these, which will be connected to the computer. Both the same size. This long, both of them. Oh, hold on, let me even this out now. Okay. This will go here. This will probably go to the Corsair One. This one will go to the iMac. It's supposed to be PC and Mac compatible. Put the Velcro on, and I found in my drawer a micro USB charging cable. Again, this doesn't come with the device. Put it here, and hopefully, yep, perfect. Sorry about that, I put them in the wrong connections. So it's input 1, input 2. I had them on output 1 and output 2. So I corrected that right now before I went forward. And I plugged in the micro USB to a USB power device. And it's staying on, it looks like, what is that, 2? Yep, 2. And it's not switching. So let me see what happens when I turn on the actual computers. I plugged everything in, the mouse, the keyboard, the 5-bay NAS, and I also decided to plug this in, USB, so that like I have some USBs in the front. All right, so let me turn on the first computer. I use my Mac, this iMac, as a monitor also for this computer. So in order to get this to be a display to this, I did a video on that. If you search for it under my channel name and iMac display, you'll see it. Booted up to Windows, so now I have to reboot it to Mac because I have boot camp. It doesn't work under Windows. When you use Windows, you can't, the switching from the display doesn't work for whatever reason. I have no idea why. So it looks like the USB NAS under boot camp is not working. It's not coming up at all. That's my NAS over there. This USB hub, which I just plugged in a 64 gig drive, that's also not coming up. I hooked up this USB hub, 10-port hub, that has its own power source into here. So I'm wondering if it has anything to do with providing the power. So let's remove the power to see what happens, if there's a difference. Okay, I just removed it. Let's see if things start popping up under the boot camp. And let me see. Yep, it's set to 2. It's on 2. Okay, so that was the issue, was the power. I guess that power source, this one right here, is not providing, it might be providing too much power or not enough power. I'm not sure. Maybe this is not the right micro USB cable. I didn't read the instructions, but it is working with no power source at all. And I have my, both NASs came up. This USB came up, my USB disk, 64 gig, I just plugged in. They're working. So this hub is working. The NAS that's behind the monitor is working. The USB NAS. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say NAS. 5-bay drive. Sorry, that was my mistake. The USB-C 5-bay drive. It's just that it's a drawable. So, you know, drawables make NASs, but they also make USB connected devices. But this is a 5-bay one that has protection of up to 1 drive failure. So I'm used to calling them NASs, but that's not the proper term. It's a USB connected hard drive. So that's working, and technically I have like 3 OSs on this. So I have the iMac with boot camp, and that's working fine with all the drives and everything I have connected. The mouse, the keyboard, everything's working just fine. As you can see, everything's working just fine. I got rid of the other keyboard. Hopefully I can keep it that way. Now let's try the Mac on the iMac to see if that works. So I'm having issues not with the USB one on the iMac version, the macOS. This is macOS I've booted up to. The macOS, everything's working, the keyboard and mouse on the macOS, and this USB, this hub and this USB drive's coming up. The drawable, the 5-bay connected USB hard drives are not coming up. I installed the software and it comes up under the software, but I think it's because it's formatted in TFS, and I don't think, this is an old Mac, it's a 2009, So I don't think it has the software or the update to read NTFS files yet. That's the software I actually have, so I'm going to install it, and there should be no problem. So that should come up right away. But I was happy that it came up under the boot camp, because that's the one I use the most on this iMac. Since this is an old iMac, I was able to install Windows on it and basically update it and still be able to use it. So on this iMac, the one I use the most is the boot camp, which is Windows 10 OS, and this machine here. So as long as they come up on both machines, that's all I'm really concerned with. But it does come up on the iMac. I'm just going to need the software or an updated. You're probably going to need an updated iMac for the drawable to come up. You know, that's a whole other thing. But besides that, the keyboard, mouse, and the USB hub is coming up just fine on the iMac. So now let's boot up to the Corsair One and make sure that that's working. So now I've turned on the Corsair One. I have the iMac, and all the devices came up with no issues whatsoever. The 5-bay drive, drawable drive, USB drive came up. This USB hub came up. The USB drive here, the 64 gig micro center USB came up. No issues. Keyboard and mouse working just fine. So on the Windows, everything's working excellent. Okay. So again, like I said earlier, I'm using this as Windows, and I also have Boot Camp running on this. When I don't feel like turning on this computer, I could actually just run Windows on the iMac. So everything is coming up, everything is working. I think I'm going to definitely keep it. The actual switched by itself. When I turned on the Corsair One, it switched over to one. You can switch them back and forth still, as you can see. But I am using the Corsair One, which is the one that I kind of use the most. But once in a blue moon, I do use the Windows Boot Camp install on the actual iMac itself. So I want to be able to switch between the two, and this thing works just fine. As for the macOS, when I'm switching to the macOS, I think I am running macOS. It's macOS Sierra, which is September 2016. It's a 2009 iMac. So it is a old OS, and the NTFS USB 5-bay drive is not coming up, and I think it's because of the format, and I probably have to do an install of a reader, an NTFS reader, which are easy to find. If I get to that point, I really don't need it. Like I said, my biggest thing is switching between the Corsair One OS and the iMac Boot Camp OS, and that's working just fine. Everything's coming up just fine. So it seems to be working just fine, and it seems to switch automatically on the last OS I boot up to. So I have my USB hub, keyboard, mouse, and 5-bay drive connected. No issues whatsoever. And now I could declutter and only have one keyboard and one mouse, and I don't have to unplug things to plug into other things to come up on the OS. So if I'm on the iMac Boot Camp, I don't have to unplug the 5-bay drive from the Corsair One and plug it into the iMac. Now I can just press a button and it automatically does it by itself. And I only have to deal with one keyboard and one mouse. All right, so let's look. Let me put it up underneath the shelf here, the stand for the monitor, and see how it looks. Again, I am using the iMac as a display off the Corsair One. You can buy the Amazon Basics. I have the full size display port to mini display port connected to this iMac, and I'm using it as a monitor. I did a video on that, so you can look it up. Very easy to do, pretty cool. So now I have technically 3 OSs in a very small amount of space. So let's see how it looks when I put everything the way it's supposed to look. So as you can see, it's much neater. This is my setup now. one less keyboard, one less mouse, and I can share peripherals between the OSs, between the iMac and the Corsair One. Works great. Worked excellent on the Windows. I had an issue for the Mac OS for the 5-bay drive, which is formatted NTFS. The USB drive that I was using is formatted, I believe it's EXTFAT. So both OSs read that. All right, so I hope the video helps. I hope you liked it. There is the device right there. You can see the little blue. I Velcroed it to underneath. I'm trying to hide all the cables and wires and all that stuff. And I hope it helps. Thank you for watching. Bye.